Hi, everybody. Dr. Robin here with your 5-minute coaching session. And today I want to talk to you about something that I think is relevant and I see coming down the pike for us in terms of business and in specifically the things that managers need to pay attention to as we come out of this pandemic. We were just told this week that we expect to see every American, adult American, that is, um, receive the vaccine by May. So that means by fall, we should see some significant changes in terms of our economy and things getting back on track. But that said, I really am concerned because I think that there's going to be a lot of companies that don't make it for one very specific reason, and that is that they don't know how to adapt after crisis. This is actually a very common area of research in the field of leadership and business theory, and in specifically change management. And what we've come to know in general is that many managers and businesses can't or won't change for a myriad of reasons. And I think that COVID is going to create a whole nother level to that we're going to see. And people, my message today is people who want to come out of this pandemic effectively need to be able to, well, the big word today is pivot, but we say adapt and change to what we call external and internal pressures in the business world. Um, the market forces is what propel customer preference. And I think we can all say that's completely changed now after COVID. And why? Well, because we've gotten used to a whole different way of being. We've gotten used to ordering things online. We've gotten used to remote work, remote school. We've gotten used to not driving so much, which is really affecting. All of a sudden, the oil industry is all of a sudden wanting to play nice in terms of green energy. Go figure. That's an example of adapting, right? So the market forces, as we know in economics, is what forces these changes, but it's really about how the management responds to those changes that determines if it's going to make it or break it. You know, we're anticipating with 5 generations, this is an unprecedented time in our world right now, but 5 generations of people working all at the same time, starting with the veterans and going all from the war, going down to the baby boomers and the Gen X, Ys, and Zs and all of that. It's a fascinating time. However, it has some different external and internal mandates that are required to work in this environment, and our skilled workers are actually expected to decrease as our baby boomers and our Gen X's and Y's, even the generations before millennials actually, that are going to really be leaving the workforce. And so there's a lot of concern over how that's going to happen, and those are an example of the external mandates or formal and internal pressures that are on the agenda for the world right now. With globalization, we're seeing these global trends, and we have in industry and in business theory what we call coercive pressures. These are the pressures that come from society, be it government, be it the community, whatever, that keep industry in check. Like, we don't want to pollute our world. Well, some people do, but the majority of the people do not, with global changes that are happening. And what happens though is managers fear change. I did a video not too long ago. You should go back to my website and see about change and not being afraid of change, because fear and fear-based decisions are never good. And if we don't adapt to business, then we miss the boat, and things are going so much faster. And these global trends, and what those really are, according to Cotter, he's a theorist, and in '95 he said these global trends were technical innovation, international trade, maturing markets, and a changing new world order. Okay, we're talking about a global world now, and that's the key. So my concern is that businesses that don't adapt to the global standards, but also aren't going to be prepared to come out of COVID with a new way of doing things, are going to really struggle. Because what we really have is this global world, which is hyper competitive. D'Aveny, who was a theorist in 1994, called it hyper competitiveness. Basically, what it is we are super in competitive mode, whether it's get a job, have a job, be a job, or be an industry or whatever it may be. However, the thing is, if we can get out of our fear, we can realize that it is more risky to a degree. However, globalization gives us more opportunities and fewer barriers because we have more opportunities, we have less barriers. So that's the whole key is industry has to be ready of coming out of COVID and be ready to adapt to what's going on in this global world. Now the trick's going to be, or the proof is in the pudding when it comes to the management, right? Are the good managers are going to learn, adapt, and try and bridge all those gaps between how we used to do it and how we do it. But as we've talked about, rigidity, that is a problem, right? Rigidity theory says that people, that's actually threat rigidity theory is what it's called. But the idea is that pressure inhibits change in some managers because what they do is they get scared and they create these constrained decisions that make it even worse. When they feel threatened by a problem, then they get even more controlling. And that's when we need to flex and we need to adapt. And that's what I'm talking about. Because if we're going to be competitive and we're going to embrace this knowledge worker age that we live in, we're going to have to become more open to the capabilities that are out there and not being obsolete. And that's my concern, that managers today, when they come out of COVID, when we start to get back on track, are not going to be able to do this. So I'm encouraging you today. I know I went a little over my 5 minutes, but it was a lot of content today. I'm encouraging you all today to think about how you're going to emerge from COVID, be it an employee, employer, just a general person on the planet, and think about how you can adapt and come out of crisis, stay out of fear, and then go for it, whatever it is, because businesses that don't do this will fail. Employees that don't do this will fail. We all have to be a lot more flexible and a lot more open because we have a new world and it's not going back to the same old, same old. I'm just going to tell you right now. And we need to adapt with it. So Dr. Robin signing off. If you haven't signed up for my March class, please do so. It's going to be great. Go to my website. I have all kinds of wonderful stuff. That's Dr. Robin, ROBIN, Goins, GOINS.com. Check it out. But go be adaptive. This crisis is changing, coming to an end, but we need to change with it and adapt. If you're going to make it, you got to break old habits and get into the new world. Thanks, everybody. Dr. Robin signing off. Have a good week.